Alright, afternoon everybody. I was just here, sitting down, trying to work on marking some, getting some IAs and SPAs uploaded. And I just checked the student hub and saw there was a little link to a chat from CXC, and that link apparently was telling us, hold on, I need to put on the light. Right, that link was actually giving us some media briefing with the actual CXC registrar and whatnot. So, well, you could share this in the student hubs, share it in the in whatever WhatsApp groups, and all that stuff. But for those of you all that are watching after the fact, I'm basically just going to go through the video, which they streamed on YouTube this time, because the last time they had a press conference or something was just a Zoom. It was just Zoom alone, and it was streamed on Facebook. So now they streamed it on YouTube, but they didn't stream it publicly on YouTube. They streamed it via unlisted link on YouTube. So you had to get a link from having a password, and well, I got the password from some chat that I was in. So I'll go and play the video, and we'll go and hear all the questions that they answer, and then it'll be kind of like a live thing, because I didn't get to hear it from the start. I heard it from about, 20 minutes close to the end. So we'll listen to the conversation that they had, and then, well, ever so often I'll just pause and come back to hear what you all say about it, right? Yeah, this is a brand new media briefing that just happened 1 hour ago. It started at 2 o'clock and it took 57 minutes, and this is it right here. Okay, so you gotta bear with me, because some of the questions that they asked at the start, I wasn't there to hear it, so I'm going to have to listen to some of them, but then we'll just kind of flip back and forth and hear your responses. It might answer a lot of your questions, right? So, like the video, and always share it in the student hub, and let folks come in and share it with whoever else needs to see. Alright, so there we go. This is the YouTube video here. And let me make sure the audio playing. The audio wasn't working at the start. Ooh, yeah, there was some kind of feedback. Right, so let's listen to this. Obviously, talking.
Okay, good. And welcome to the Caribbean.
Alright, first of all, I gather that talking through a mask wasn't exactly one of the smartest things that you should have done. I think you'll end up taking off the mask. But this is the registrar, Dr. Wayne Wesley, affectionately known to us as Uncle Wayne. So Uncle Wayne is going to answer questions.
Examinations Council. Press conference.
And he took off the mask. Hey! Go ahead, Uncle Wayne. Go ahead.
Happy that you're able to join us this afternoon, and we take seriously your time, so we'll try and be as efficient as possible.
All right. Come on. Get to me.
Here, present with us this afternoon.
Yeah.
Modified examination for
Okay.
clarity.
He said something important. I'm going to go back to it.
As we seek to offer clarity on the approved modified examination process.
Ooh, all you hear that word there? Clarity. So let me see if some clarity comes out of this. I personally am just like students who kind of fed up, so let's see how this works.
And to also provide more information on the administration of the modified approach this year. So again, welcome to the Caribbean Examinations Council for Human and Social Development.
Yeah.
May 8, Education, Grant and Social following the decision
All right, so he going to talk about what they had on the CARICOM website, which everybody would have seen already. If you didn't see the article on the CARICOM website, then, well, it basically said that all the ministers of education came together, and all the ministers of education came together, and they would have had to make some sort of thing, raise the volume on the the CSEC video. All right, cool. I think that should be better now. All right, so here's what he said.
Examinations Council press conference following the decision of Council for Human and Social Development granting approval on Friday, May 8, 2020 for the administration of CXC's regional examinations in July 2020, with results being made available by the first week in September 2020. The modified strategy.
Just pause for a second. All in fairness, man does talk real slow. Like legit. Like, you kind of want to finish his sentences, Fim. Alright, cool, sorry. Yeah, going back to it.
Is to yield valid grades, assess critical competencies, and minimize the disruption to the education system during these unprecedented times. Will preserve the integrity of the examinations. The modified examinations approach is as follows: the administration of at least one common paper, and in this case, the multiple choice assessment.
We know this.
I just want to point out that for a public examination body such as the Caribbean Examinations Council, administering assessment across countries, it is imperative that a common paper be administered. And in situations where we are facilitating the assessment comparison across years, it is important that we have a common paper structure for the examination.
Right, all you know my big argument to this, right? Like, if you don't know my argument to this is, if you're going and give a common paper that is going to be marked, that is going to give a fair assessment, it's better you give a paper 2. That's my argument from day one. So, the fact that they don't even mention paper 2 at all anymore, I just have me feeling like something wrong. But that's just me. That's just my argument for weeks now, maybe a month, maybe more than a month. But if they're going to give a common paper, why choose the multiple choice? Because you know that everybody can't do the e-testing. If it was everybody could do the e-testing from start to finish, then that would be easy. Then you'd be like, okay, e-testing is easier, we'll get it done faster, cool, because everybody in Caribbean doing it. But if you still have to give out paper, then why not give out the paper too? If you're still going to have to give out paper. That's my argument, but I'm going to unrest that because if their goal is to wear people down, they officially wear me down. Anyhow, let me go back to it.
Secondly, it involves the school-based assessment, paper 3.2, which is the alternative paper to the SBA for private candidates. And in this case, we will have an expanded moderation exercise.
Well, hold on, I'm going to put this thing to play at 1.5 speed because this, I can't take the way I'm talking. Let me play at 1.25 because he's talking way too slow.
That will see the moderation process being extended to all center across all subjects.
Hey, that's like the greatest thing ever. Look how it's sounding now. Alright, let me see if I put it to 1.5. Sorry for the thing here. Maybe we might actually get through this thing faster. There you go.
Having these two pieces of information, the award of final grades will be based on the moderated SBA and the multiple choice papers. During our grading process, CXC's quality assurance process will apply the appropriate weighting to ensure that candidates are treated fairly and in an unbiased manner. Exemptions to the aforementioned process, where candidates will be required to complete additional components, are as follows. For modern languages, Spanish, French, and Portuguese, human and social biology, visual arts will have additional component requirements as follows. 1, for CSEC, French, Portuguese, and Spanish, students are expected to write paper 1, paper 2, and paper 3, which are the oral examinations. For CSEC, human and social biology, candidates will be required to write paper 1 and paper 2. For CSEC, visual arts, students are expected to submit their SBA and reflective journals. For CAPE, French.
Hold on, I cannot imagine listening to this at a normal speed right now because it's still taking long. But anyhow, yeah, they have news on Jamaica. I think I asked some questions about Jamaica, but I just going through the whole thing because I kind of just want to make sure that the information is out there. Because what's going to happen is that news companies or newspapers and television stations and thing going to take this video and they're going to chop it up into little clips and they're going to play the little clips, and some of the things that you all might want to hear, you're not going to hear. That is what YouTube there for. We out here for the people. Everybody that want to know all the questions, I want to see if they answer things properly. That's what we're going to do. So just for those of you all that just joined, remember, like the video so that the notification will go out to more people and more people will get the information. And remember, I am playing this at 1.5 speed because if you play it at 1.0 speed, that's going to take long. There you go.
And Spanish, students are expected to write paper 1, paper 2, and paper 3. And of course, school candidates submitting their SBAs. For private candidates.
All right, so that's it. Spanish, French, Portuguese, some of them thing, art and design, and what's the next subject you said? They're gonna have to do paper 2s and whatnot when for whatever because of the way the exam is structured. But that's the answer to that question.
They're expected to write paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, as well as paper 4 for private candidates. Those are the exemptions, or the exceptions rather, to the modified approach where candidates will be expected to write additional components. In the process of administering these examinations, the e-testing modality will be employed. However, it will be applicable to those institutions or territories that are equipped to facilitate e-testing. In other words, they do have the infrastructure in place for
Right, so that's something we know already. We know that for sure, that only schools that can do the e-testing will do the e-testing. If you can't do the e-testing, then you're not going to do it. So don't be going around asking. We're going to have to do e-testing. We're going to have to do e-testing. If you know your school never do e-testing before, they ain't going to do it now. It will be very, very foolish of them to try to implement e-testing at such short notice. You're going to get the paper. So make sure you know that. Stop asking that question. Plenty of reporters ask that question at the end, but we will go ahead. Back again at 1.5 speed. Let's go.
E-testing to be administered. However, in territories where the infrastructure challenges are insurmountable, it is expected that those candidates will write the paper-based modality. In respect
for all the people that are asking about what is paper 4 is only for like I think it's art and design, some other subject that has a specific layout and you have to do a paper 4. That's the paper 4 that only private candidates will do. So you don't have to worry about no paper 4. He was just talking about paper 4 with the exceptions. There are some subjects that have exceptions that they have to do multiple papers for. So they'll be doing paper 1, 2, and 3, and the private candidates will be doing paper 4. That's for those exception subjects. I'll go over the exception subjects at the end, but don't worry about what paper 4 is. As far as it stands, everybody is going to be doing paper 1, which is multiple choice, and that's the only exam you have to actually go in and write. If you're a private candidate, you'll be doing paper 3/2, paper 3/2, which is the alternative to the SB. That's only private candidates. Right? Back to the races.
Respect of health and safety, I want to point out that it is the #1 priority of the Examinations Council to ensure the safety and well-being of stakeholders during these unprecedented times. All examination centers and invigilators will follow the guidelines of national health protocols as it relates to social distancing, the wearing of masks, and sanitization. Rest assured that as the management and staff of the council continue to monitor the emerging situation, our first priority is health and well-being of all our stakeholders.
All right, so based on what you're saying there is that when we do have to go to the exams, whenever that is, they're going to have to apply all the health and safety protocols that are applied in that country at that point in time. And most likely, the the country that you're in is going to determine what you have to do when you're in public. So most likely you're going to have to put on a mask, right? Most likely you're going to have to separate as far as possible, and the school or the center that you're doing the exam in, they will be responsible for making sure that everything is done properly. That way he's saying, because they have to follow all the rules of health guidelines, right? So if you want to wear a mask, yes, you have to wear a mask. Yes, you'll have to think. If you're going to suffocate, that's up to what they do. Because if they put you in a room with no air conditioning and no ventilation and you have to put on a mask to do your exam, you might suffocate. Some people might get, let's call this word, when you're in claustrophobic or that kind of stuff. Yes, all those things are possible, but that is not because of CXC. That is because of the health regulations. So we can't put anything on them with that, right? So there you go again. Back to 1.5 speed.
We continue to work closely with our local registrars to ensure all the required systems are in place on the ground, and wherever there are challenges, we continue to overcome such with the required response to ensure that the solution does not disadvantage any stakeholder. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my opening statement, and I will now open the floor for questioning from the media at this time. I must say that joining me here today is our Director of Operations, Mrs. Nicole Manning, and our Senior Manager for Exam Administration and Security, Ms. Diane Medford, and they will assist me in responding to the question. I must also say, joining you in the Zoom meeting room, we also have Dr. Carl Granston, who is a Pro Registrar and based in Jamaica, as well as Mr. Rodney Payne, our Director for Technological Innovation.
All right, so basically what he did, Uncle Wayne said, everything that we know already. They go down and have exams in July. They go down force the paper 1 and the SBA. They have a few exemption subjects, which are 4 exemption subjects, which will be Portuguese, Spanish, French, I think, and art and design. And those exemption subjects, they have more papers to do, but those are the only exams that are going to get extra papers. No other exam has an exemption paper. And he also said that if a country is able to do e-testing, they'll do e-testing. If they're not able to do e-testing, they're going to do it on paper. And he cleared that up, but that's all that is news that we know already. We know all that already. Let me get to the things that people wanted to know about, so we can get to some of the questions that actual smart people ask. There we go. We're going at 1.5 speed because when you put it at 1.0 speed, you all know that Uncle Win, he's talking a little slow.
Mrs. Armstrong Muller, our Director for Corporate Services. So those persons are with me to assist in responding to your queries and concerns. At this time, Mr. Richard Rose will monitor the questions and concerns that you have for us to address. Richard, can you now moderate that session for me as it relates to questions?
Thank you, Dr. Weston. The process we will now follow is by using on the Zoom technology, raising your hand, and then we will identify the person and call them.
And what has beat me is that it does say, using the Zoom technology, you will use the feature called raising your hand. And I'll be like, whoa. It has song so, like futuristic. Like, we're using the Zoom technology here, guys. Raise your hand. Okay, sorry. That was just me.
The floor is now open for questions. Thank you.
Question 1.
Julian Nees.
Yeah. Newsday, are you hearing me?
Just identify which media house you're from.
Yes, Julian Nees from Newsday. You're hearing me, Registrar and officials? Hello? Oh, I don't think I hear.
Go ahead, we're hearing you.
Okay. Yes, Registrar. You mentioned that there were some territories which will most likely may have to use the paper-based modality. What do we have idea which territories that could be at this point?
Alright, now the reason he summoned so rushed is because I am playing this at 1.5 speed. So just remember, he's not a chipmunk. The reason I'm playing at 1.5 is because everybody does talk so slow. Alright, so his question is, have they identified the territories that are not doing e-testing? Have they identified the territories that are not going to do e-testing and need to get paper? Alright, so there you go.
Most of those. Dan, will you be able to respond to that? Would you? We don't know yet. All right. Several would have indicated their ability to do so, but we have not gotten all the responses yet. But there are a couple of territories that have already indicated their desire to move with the e-testing. But the process, though, in any one territory, you can have both modalities being utilized.
All right, you all heard what he said. In any one territory, you could have both being utilized. So it has, if there is a school that is able to do the e-testing, they will do it. If there's a school that needs to have the paper, they will get the paper. If you know your school, you will know if they could do e-testing or not, because you know your computer lab, you know if they have computers, you know if they have IT, you know if they have Wi-Fi, all them kind of things. So if you know your school, they might try the e-testing. I strongly believe that most schools will just err on the side of caution and be like, nah, we ain't going through that e-testing. Let me just get the papers, the physical papers. Yeah. Oh, they want me to put it back to normal speed to see something? Alright, listen. Yeah, all they're gonna.
Chronicle, that was from Guyana, the Chronicle.
Okay, good.
Listen to normal speed.
Jamaica Garnet, and as Dr. Wesley mentioned, please identify your media houses. Thank you.
That done hurting me already. Back to 1.5.
Jamaica Garnet, can you kindly mute your mic?
Come now, man, ask the question.
Okay, let's move on to Jordana Murphy.
Yes, Jordana Murphy here from the Gleaner Company. I'd like to know if the Jamaican government has changed its position on the hosting of exams in July.
Boom! Alright, so somebody asked the question. Somebody asked the question. Has the Jamaican government changed their position? Let's hear what they say.
Thanks for that question. We are unable to speak at this moment on the decision of the Jamaican government.
Well, that's the answer there. We're unable to speak on the decision of the Jamaican government. If you want to know about Jamaica, ask Jamaica. Back to it.
Dr. Wesley, the question from Tamika, and is a follow-up to Julian's question. Can you say which are the countries that have identified that they can accommodate e-testing?
Okay, can you do that?
We have information on some of the countries at this time. We know that, for example, Dominique has indicated that they will be doing that. There are people in Anguilla. Anguilla has been over the years following total e-testing where possible, but we are awaiting information from other territories.
Oh wait, she talking fast. Go back.
Where possible, but we are awaiting information from other territories. BVI
does it.
Alright, so the places
we have information on some of the countries at this time. We know that, for example, Dominique has indicated that they will be doing that. There are people in Anguilla. Anguilla has been over the years following total e-testing where possible, but we are awaiting information from other territories.
Alright, so it's Dominica and Anguilla. That's the two places that she spoke of that they directly know going and do e-testing. Dominica and Anguilla. That's a clear, straightforward answer there. Everybody else, we're not too sure. Any questions? Do you want to know more? They asked the man directly where we'll be doing e-testing, and he said, and the lady answered Dominica and Anguilla. So there you go back to it.
BVI does it.
Pervasha TV6. So the person from Pervasha TV6 can just give you a name.
Good afternoon, Urvashi from CCN TV6 in Trinidad. So my question is, there was, just to let you know, there was a letter to the editor written by an educator, teacher. It appeared in the Express newspaper today, where this geography teacher for 30 years, she expressed some concerns. Her concerns with the exams would be that it's difficult for students to shift into exam mode in just this space of time, 1. 2, she spoke about the psychology of the students, like maybe some of them may be affected with parents or relatives affected with COVID-19, persons close to them who may have died, relatives stranded abroad in cruise ships, etc. Those 2 concerns. And the third concern she had was that as a teacher of geography, she says she cannot conceive an examination that tests senior pupils simply on multiple choice. Can you please address those three concerns?
Boom, that is question from Question Land. Let's see what his answer is. So somebody from Trinidad said, hey, as a geography teacher, I can't see how you're gonna prepare the children for this. And secondly, how are you gonna test on multiple choice and SBA alone? Let's hear his answer.
Okay, so thank you very much for that question. To address the last question first, it is the determination of the student's performance is not only on the multiple choice examination, there is also the SBA component that would be required. We would have done extensive analysis in ensuring that we are able to cover all the necessary skills and competencies, and where we were unable to assess those, additional components would have been required. So it is not just the multiple choice, but it is important to note that the SBA is also one of the modalities for assessing those critical skills and competencies. As to the time frame, we are cognizant of the fact that the COVID-19 situation would be having an impact on students' readiness, but we also in recognition of that.
All right, so his answer is, we have done the testing, we have done the analysis and all that stuff, and we are confident that the multiple choice and the SBA is going to give us a good answer. Yeah. Right. Okay. That was a perfect opportunity for him to say, well, we believe that the paper 2 will give a better assessment, but granted the current situation, we think doing the multiple choice is better because we'll be able to mark it faster. But no, nobody wants to say that. Nobody is going to admit to that. They're just going to be saying, hey, paper 1 and SBA, that is good enough, that is good enough, that is good enough. And let's keep selling that over and over and over and over and over until we believe it. Until we believe it.
If you notice, the paper 2 would not be offered at this time as well, which should be a reduced level of anxiety on the students and prolonged exposure within a space for any health issues to arise. As it relates to
So you hear what you say about the paper 2? The paper 2 will reduce the amount of anxiety due to prolonged exposure to health risk or something so. But that doesn't change the fact that you could just do the paper 2 instead of the paper 1 and let them sit down for 2 hours instead of an hour and a half and do the paper 2 instead, because that's just getting over the fact that you're literally just ignoring that paper 2 exists for some reason, and they're not giving the answer, and the reason they're not giving the paper 2 is because they're the anxiety of the student. I'm going to play that back for you.
Third point, so that any health and which should be a of that students' readiness, but we also in recognition of that, if you notice, the paper 2 would not be offered at this time as well, which should be a reduced level of anxiety on the students and prolonged exposure within a space for any health issues to arise. As it relates to the third...
That is stupidness. Prolonged exposure? That's why you don't have any paper 2? Because they're going to have to spend an extra half an hour inside the exam room? Third
point, so that was the coverage, the health issue, the readiness, the teacher readiness, and there was a third point.
The psychology.
Those are the concerns.
The psychology of the students disproportionately affected by relatives being stranded abroad, even the economics of it, parents now unemployed, just affected by being in a pandemic.
Yes, and we are very much cognizant of that and recognize, and that's the complexity of the issues that we had to balance in making a determination, because that's not the only issue, while it is a significant one, but we had to balance the many factors one had to give consideration to. So we are not denying that it is likely to have an impact.
I Nah, boy. Nah.
But we are minimizing as much as possible that impact.
Thank you for that question. And Siobhan Campbell from Nationwide News is asking if the territory has stated its inability to meet the July date, what arrangements will be made in such a case?
Ooh, only hear that question. If a territory has stated that it's unable to make the July date, aka Jamaica, what arrangements will be put in place? That is good reporting there, because he didn't call Jamaica name, but he just say if a territory. Yeah. Well, let me hear the answer. Let me hear the answer to that.
Within the context of the Caribbean Examination Council, we operate within a regional construct. And that regional construct would see all ministries of education and all relevant personnel come together to make a decision. All of those concerns would have been taken into consideration, and where countries would have indicated serious challenges as it relates to COVID-19, then of course bilateral talks can be held as indicated in the press release from COSA.
So the answer is, of course, bilateral talks can take place, meaning that they will discuss how they're going to get it done. But he not saying how they're going to get it done. They will discuss it. So somebody going to talk to somebody about something. All right, so Jamaica basically going to talk to CXC. There you go.
Jennifer Richardson, Agency for Public Information, and Vincent at the credit. How the marking of the papers will be done this year? Will teachers be required to travel, or will it be done online?
Yes, you can.
The marking will be done online in cases where we require teachers to mark, especially for those paper 2 that will be administered. And paper 3 too, right?
So again, marking can be done online, which is how teachers mark now. So why not the paper 2? That is all people want to know. If you're going to give a good exam, you have, one, the ability to give them the paper, because some subjects have the paper 2 and they're going to get it. 2, teachers are able to mark the paper 2s online. And 3, you have the time to do it because you're giving out physical papers and not everybody have to do the e-testing. Why you didn't just do the paper 2s instead of the paper 1s in the school? Somebody had an answer.
Naomi Paris, also from the Guyana Chronicle. Do you believe that the absence of paper 2 will make the examination less efficient, in the sense that it would not give children room to elaborate on their points and truly portray their academic capability? Is there any consideration for the implementation of systems to accommodate students who might not have internet access or access to any form of technology? The final question, and I'll read them if you need them again. Would the council consider a further postponement of the examinations, or the current time frame is set in stone?
Alright, so it had 3 questions here. Listen carefully because the 3 questions are important.
The decision is clear. The decision from CARICOM is clear. There is a date for the examinations now, and this is not a time to create any level of uncertainty with the students or candidates who are being prepared.
So he said the decision from CARICOM is clear. There is a date for the exams, but bilateral discussions can still take place with any country that doesn't want to do it on those dates. The decision is clear. Let me say it one more time. He said the decision is clear that a date for the exam has been set, but just now, about 2 minutes ago, bilateral decisions can still take place with other countries who don't want to do it at that date. So how a date could be set when bilateral discussions are still taking place? And if a date has been set, then how come the timetable it still has provisional on it? Ask them questions.
Examinations is July. As it relates to technology, as I indicated earlier, where the infrastructure challenges are insurmountable, then those persons will have access to the paper-based modality to write their examinations. So no one will be disadvantaged if they don't have e-testing capabilities. And in relation to the first question, it is important. What we have done is to ensure that we have sufficient information to be able to make to be able to award valid grades to students that would speak to the skills and competencies they should demonstrate having completed and gone through the CSEC and CAPE syllabuses.
Good. So the question is, if they would have sufficient information, what is the sufficient information? 60 multiple choice questions and an SBA did in your school? Okay, well, if those are the two things that you're using, then tell us the weighting, because the syllabus specifically says the weightings for a reason, so that people will know how they have to look at particular exams. If a certain exam is weighted more than another, then you're obviously going to prepare more for that. So if you don't tell us the weighting, then that kind of going against the rights of the exam, because the syllabus is supposed to give you a breakdown of the exam. But nothing is being said about that. They just said that they put it in such a way that they'll have sufficient data or sufficient information. But so far, all they have is a paper 1 and an SBA. Because you can't tell me you're going to take somebody predicted grade. You can't tell me you're going to take somebody, I don't know what else you could take besides the predicted grade. You can't tell me you're going to ask the secondary schools for their exams, for the mock exam, because they probably didn't do the mock exam. You can't ask them for their exams from Form 4. So what data or information is going to be put so that a paper 1 and a SBA will be comparable to a paper 1, 2 and a SBA? It's real hard to compare those two things because that paper 2 had real weight. He didn't answer, so let me continue.
Orson Pickard from Creme Television, Belize.
Thank you. Hi, Orson Pickard, Creme Television, Belize City. Registrar, while it is that the CSEC examination will be administered in July, and you pointed that out very clearly, I understand that in different parts of the Caribbean, we operate under different timelines or different time ranges. Will other regions be allowed, for reasons beyond their control, to administer the exam in January? And if so, what measures will be employed to ensure the credibility of the examination?
So if a country decides that they will write the exams in January, the full administration of the examinations will occur. So the normal examination cycle will run. I must say that the modified approach is only within the context of the impact of COVID-19 currently on the education system. So this modified approach is just for this period. Come January, we would have returned to our full administration. The only consideration that a country would have to give is that in the January sitting, there are 13 subjects that are offered, and perhaps some of the subjects that students would have been registered for, they would perhaps have to wait until May, June to write those subjects. But in January, 13 subjects are offered, including maths, English, the sciences, POB, IT, Spanish, and human and social biology. Yes.
And so, secondary registrar, so what measures will be employed then in that case to ensure the credibility of these examinations?
You mean the modified approach now? Or
Correct,
January?
correct, sir.
It's January.
In January.
We go back to our full mode. We are back into our full administration. We are paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, and in some cases paper 4 will be administered. So there's no need. So of course our normal administration, quality assurance and security.
Alright, basically the person asked a question about if you decide that you're not going to do it in July, would you be able to do it in January next year? And he said yes, everything for January going to be back to normal, paper 1, 2 and 3 and all that stuff. So that's what he took about so far. Hey, this person who you're talking about, SEA, we'll talk about that a little bit before I leave, right? Yeah. So remember, there's the part where the people asking questions. Those of you that just join this live, we answer all sorts of questions so far. I really can't go back through all of them, so you might just have to kind of rewind or go back through it. You could kind of click you could watch all the rest and then go and watch it after. But they answer plenty of questions, and a lot of questions that students have been asking. Some of them being answered, but they're not being answered properly. But they are being given answers so that we could kind of build some sort of fixation or some kind of thing. I don't know. All right, next question. Let me see what they have.
Processes will be in place at that time.
Thank you very much, Registrar.
Good.
Thank you for that question. Annalisa Paul from Trinidad Guardian. Concerns were raised here about the lack of access to devices by students, and those unable to complete their SPAs and IA. How is this being considered in the final grades?
Okay, for those who are, well, we have extended the deadline for SBAs to June 30th, the end of June. So CAPE, CSEC, and CCSLC, if they do have SBAs outstanding, they do have up until June 30th to submit those.
Alright, so you heard it there. Everybody have up until June 30th to submit their SBAs because some students still have problems getting the SBAs done. Some students have problems getting devices to do the SBAs, all that stuff. So at the end of June is when all SBAs will be due. More than likely, your school is going to require you to have them in about at least 2 weeks before that because the teachers need time to get the SBAs, collate them, mark them, name them properly, and then upload them because that's what teachers usually have to do. So don't think June 30th will be the last day. June 30th will be the day that you can set it up. More than likely, you're going to have to send that up by like June the 15th or some kind of thing. You have to make sure that those things done because teachers need to get time to make sure they put it in the system and upload it properly. So yes, it's going to be June the 30th for teachers to put it in. But students going to most likely, based on my experience, going to have to send that in at least 2 weeks before to give teachers time. So, continuing.
We have been working with the local registrar to treat with situations where individuals would find it difficult to complete their SBAs.
And then also to remind persons that there is an absolute deadline, which is July 31st. So there is the first deadline, which we are encouraging people to try to meet that deadline. But we do have something called the absolute deadline, which we have every year, and that is July 31st.
So there's a first deadline and then there's an absolute deadline. The absolute deadline is July 31st if things real bad, but whatever. This person asking how many countries are against the July exam. Well, they asked that question in the thing, so I'll let him answer it for you. We'll get to that part just now.
Andrea
Raina Ramdas.
Television Jamaica. Will CSEC be making separate arrangements for Jamaica, considering the country will not be able to meet the July deadline? Even if the paper.
Alright, so the question that everybody asking, will CSEC be making separate arrangements for Jamaica even if the country can't make the deadline? Listen to this.
Paper-based format is accepted. There are still concerns about physical distancing and the safety of students.
Okay, so in relation to Jamaica, as pointed out in the press release from CARICOM, we are allowed to have bilateral discussions on what is applicable should the COVID-19 situation persist.
And the dance continues, boy. They are allowed to have bilateral discussions, meaning they're going to have some sort of discussion with Jamaica to try to figure out what to do. Nobody knows what they're going to do right now. But let's go.
So we are open to dialogue with the Ministry of Education in Jamaica.
Yolanda Murphy?
Yes, my next question. Should most territories choose the paper modality as opposed to the e-testing modality? Will that impact the September result date?
No, it will not. No, it will not. We will still be able to meet the first week in September deadline.
Question from Letitia Isaac from the Department of Public Information Ghana. Will the paper ones be entirely multiple?
Wait, pause. I forget this. The lady just asked, will, if most of the schools decide that they're going to choose the paper one instead of the paper two, will that affect the September results date? And he said, no. Then why don't just send the paper twos? Moving on. Well, of course, the multiple choice will be able to be marked faster because they're being done with a machine, but moving on.
Choice. And what does the new timetable look like? Additionally, will the Spanish, French, and Portuguese oral examinations be done in person?
Okay, so I'll allow Dan to respond to the questions as it relates to the timetable. The timetable. But I just want to speak first of all to the structure of the exam, and then Dan will deal with the logistical issues. In respect of the structure of the examination, it remains the same. We would not have changed any format to the examinations, so it continues to be what is outlined in the syllabuses for all of those subjects. Dan will respond to the other issues with respect to the timetable being from June to
Yes, the timetables are on our website. They've been there since last month. They're titled provisional on our website. You can find them for all the examinations, CAPE, CSEC, and CCSLC. In terms of the orals, we're working with the local registrars to determine the actual logistics of orals. We are exploring the possibility of having the remote conferencing used for that examination as well.
Yeah, they're just talking stuff about e-testing. Somebody who asked a question about modular exams, but I think it's ISIS. Yeah, ISIS asked about modular exams. There are some subjects where they don't do a SBA, they do a modular exam. And then there's some schools that have to do the modular exams and send up the marks as if it were SBA marks. But because of COVID-19, schools closed, so they haven't done the modular exams. So for subjects like pure maths and applied maths and some other subjects where they have to do modular exams, nothing is being said about that. And that's a big thing, because what's going to happen, I think what's going to happen is that they're just going to tell them students, all right, cool, you have to come to school next week to do your 2 modular exams one time so we could send up a mark. And that is greatly unfair, because modular exams are supposed to have some sort of preparation and some sort of teaching taking place before you could do it now. Anyhow, moving on quickly.
And those guidelines will be discussed with local registrars. But as Dr. Wes has been saying, CXC tries to work with each territory, because each territory is not at the same stage right now. We're trying to ensure that we work individually with them.
Thank you. Tanika Garnett, how many students are scheduled to write the 2020 CSEC and CAPE examination?
30,000 for CAPE, approximately, and 120,000 for CSEC.
Alright, so 30,000 people supposed to write CAPE and 120,000 supposed to write CSEC. And of that 120,000, guess who's 60,000 of them? Jamaica. Jamaica literally has the half the registrations for CSEC. So, yep. Moving on, 30,000 for CAPE and 120,000 for CSEC.
Thank you. Julian Neves from Newsair Trinidad and Tobago. What is the deadline for the territories to indicate whether they will be choosing the e-testing or paper-based modality?
Well, the deadline actually, the first deadline had passed, but in view of what has been happening, we sent another request just last week, and we're expecting to have the information by the end of this week, which is the middle of the month, hopefully.
All right, so by the end of the week, the schools that want to do e-testing, they will have to send it into CXC. So I guess Trinidad going to have to be like, all right, cool, we're going to tell you early, no, send the papers, thanks, if they decide to accept it.
And on the local registrar.
Annalisa Paul from Trinidad Guardian. And basically, she said, and Barbados has also indicated they want exams to be suspended. So what's happening there as well?
As I said, we are guided by the decision of coastal education for the administration of examinations, and that is July 2020.
So he says Barbados put out a press release saying, where did I accumulate 600? Well, 600, what, the 60,000? People that doing exam for Jamaica. I just surely a picture. Where is it? This is the CSEC 2019 data for all the territories. Antigua and Barbuda total 2,300, Anguilla 370, Barbados 7,000, Belize 3,000, British Virgin Islands 376, Cayman Islands 962, Dominica 1,160, Grenada 2,521, Guyana 11,000, Jamaica 61,288. That's how many people wrote CXC, people who wrote CSEC in Jamaica in 2019. This is exactly from their website. So in total, around 120,000 people do the CSEC exam, and out of that 120 something thousand, Jamaica is roughly half of them, 61K. Trinidad is the next highest at 25K, and then after that Guyana. So that's just some numbers for you to understand. If Jamaica tell you that they're not doing your exam, you're going to have to just to discuss something with them. You're going to have another talk. Alright, back to this. I'm going to finish this quick. I have a class to go and do this now. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. Ask your questions now.
Sorry,
Okay.
you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, I'm just wondering, with the establishment of the e-testing, I'm wondering if CXC had to outsource some and get some additional resources, and whether there was the need for additional training of staff and so forth.
All right, Diane, you want to respond?
You're referring to our implementation of the process, or you're referring to?
Yeah, that's not really relevant to y'all as students. That's basically asking if the people who go down and implement the e-testing, if they know what they're doing. Of course, if they go into a country that they know what they're doing, then they go do it properly. If not, they're not going to go to a country and just force e-testing on you, because they'll just take the paper.
Only the staff here. Various persons.
Let me get to the next question. I think the other question is better.
Bilateral discussions. Wouldn't CXC have already discussed the issue with the Jamaican authorities? Who represented Jamaica at the previous meeting? And was Jamaica ignored or outvoted at the Kosher meeting?
Now, Mandy, whoever asked that question, that's Kerwin Springer in disguise. that is Uncle Springer in disguise. Well, let's call him Uncle Springer. He basically say who was present at the Jamaican meeting, and who from Jamaica say that they're not gonna do it, and what are they gonna do about it.
We attended as invitees to the course of dedication meeting. We are not necessarily at liberty to speak to what obtains at those meetings, other than the decisions that they would have handed down to us. And the countries are all at their own sovereign, do have their own sovereign authority to determine their own course of action.
And as expected, our friend Dr. Wesley, he danced his way around the question so wonderfully. So, yeah. Basically, he say, well, we can't talk on behalf of Jamaica. Jamaica will talk for themselves, and we just attended the meeting as invitees. We would run any meeting.
Thank you, Dr. Wesley. Patrice Wishart from News Talk Radio Guyana. How secure is the e-paper process in terms of student cheating?
Alright, how secure is the e-paper process? We know that already. There's a safe exam browser. The browser is locked down the computer, and once you're inside a room, the text on them will kind of watch you. You go inside with normal exam protocols. I ain't gonna give you his answer about that. That's gonna waste time.
Add what tests are wanted to advise and uses the computer want to. It has to write the exam. The browser is your way of securing.
Tamika Garnett, proceed.
Good afternoon, everyone. Over the years, teachers in Guyana have been complaining about not being paid for the marking of SBA. I'm not sure if other countries in the region.
Alright, now her question is about teachers marking SBAs. That has nothing to do with all. You don't need to worry about that. That's for teachers to fight down. Some teachers want to mark the SBA, some teachers don't want to mark the SBA. I'm trying to get to the good question. Let's have a good question here.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further questions?
I think he was begging for questions.
Communication. Trinidad.
Okay.
If a student who is writing exams present with a suspected COVID-19 symptom on entry to the exam, what will be put in place for them?
Well, as I indicated earlier, while we will observe the social distancing, the sanitization process, as well as the mask, we will still be governed by the national health protocol and observe what is required in the various national jurisdictions as to their own protocol for treating with such issues.
Alright, so the question that somebody asked is if somebody presented with COVID-19 symptoms in the exam, aka the sneezing and coughing and having shortness of breath, what will happen? they will have to treat the person as a suspected case, and you basically won't write your exams. So make sure you don't get the cold, please.
Where quarantine is necessary, those facilities will be provided at those locations, so the local registrars monitoring is in the.
Any further questions?
Yeah, I think at this point they was just starting to beg for more questions, and I don't think it have any thing that they didn't say again.
Bishop from News Talk Radio again. What would happen in terms of a power outage? Would there be a system in place?
Right. Every other question about this was about e-testing, and if they don't have power, and if they could do the exam on a laptop, if they will be able to do it at home, and all them kind of things. But we know all that already, because we already would have watched my other video with the breakdown of e-testing and all that stuff. So that's the end of the good questions there. There are no other good questions. So is there anything that you haven't heard yet? Any question that you want answered? Because I think that they have like an email that you could send the other questions to. Plus there is a frequently asked questions page. Let me see if I can find the frequently asked questions page for you on CXC's very, very poor website. So ask all your questions here. Only remember, subscribe to this channel if you're doing CXC IT, Cape IT, Computer Science. I'm your guy. If you know anybody doing CXC IT in 2020, let them send me, check out the videos. Alright, let me see if I can find this thing, help and frequently asked questions. Right, so if you still have questions about all these things, there is a page on CXC's website, cxc.org. You go into cxc.org and you're going through this horrible user interface of a page. And you go into help and frequently asked questions. When you go to help and frequently asked questions, you go into July 2020 examination frequently asked questions. I believe Kerwin went through these already. So if you have questions that you want to ask and they're not found here, well, I hope they do. So they have questions about e-testing, what to be expected, what are the repercussions, all sorts of different things, and yeah, all kind of stuff inside there. So let me see what we have here. What about countries that will have extreme weather, like Trinidad and Tobago? That will have a very extreme rainy season this year, 2020, as they predicted. If the exam is in July, the rainy season wouldn't be that bad yet. It will have rain, but it wouldn't be hurricane season per se, because the hurricane months are usually from like about the end of August to the end of October. So I don't know if that'll be a problem. Well, so other countries would do exams now, but most likely Jamaica might do exams at a later date. So far, it looks like Jamaica is saying because of their COVID that they can't do the exams at a later date. So we will see. Exactly, some places does fall out with a little bit of rain. Yeah, well, that's not really CXC fault, because anything they do from now on would have been in rainy season. So, flood, yeah. So our Minister of Education on board with paper 2. As far as you know, Anthony Garcia just said that the exam is going to be in July, and he hasn't said anything about paper 2. But what they keep saying is that they're having bilateral discussions with the countries that don't agree. It is believed that Jamaica, well no, it is clear that Jamaica doesn't agree, and it is believed that Barbados and Trinidad don't agree. But there is no official word from the Minister of Education from Trinidad and Tobago saying that they don't agree with the decision. As far as we know, based on teachers, we're preparing for sending up all the SPAs and preparing for July exams. However, it's going to happen, we don't know, because, of course, the Ministry of Education is kind of silent. Whether never stopped the exam before, where you going with that, Dread? I don't know. So they didn't confirm anything yet? I don't know what question you're asking. Talia, wouldn't it be fair for all regions to write the exams together? Yes, it would be fair. If Jamaica decides to pull out, then I don't know what the bilateral discussions going on contain, but those bilateral discussions, that's for them to talk about. We just don't know. We can't say. When is the deadline for submission of SBA? They said it in the video, the deadline for submission of SBA is the 30th of June. But more than likely, a school is going to have to put the date for that 2 weeks earlier because they need to give teachers time to collate the marks and upload them. So would it be wise to still prepare for paper 2? I think it would be, me personally as an IT teacher, I'm still teaching children to do paper 2s because when you do paper 2s, you learn stuff and you actually get smarter. So even if the multiple choice questions are repeats or different, you would still be able to answer them correctly. So personally, I still doing paper 2s. There's some teachers who won't do any paper 2s, they'll just do the paper 1s, and hope that you'll remember the repeat questions because based on what they said, the papers are going to be the same way they've been the years before, which more than likely is going to have a set of repeats. If that's the case, well then everybody will get like real high in multiple choice. If there are new questions, the paper 2s are going to force you to remember your work properly so that you'll be able to answer new questions if you get them. So, is it wise to still prepare for paper 2? My personal view, yes. Still do paper 2s because you will learn stuff. So, where you find these statistics on the CXC page, let me see if I can find it for you. At a real dig fit, you know. It had annual general reports or something, so media examinations. Media annual reports, and let me show you. Right, so there's a page when you go to media and then you go to annual reports, you'll see all the annual reports, and then I click the annual report for 2019. There's a real long boring read, which I did, and then the annual report will be in this kind of weird flip book kind of thing. There's 137 pages, and I went through every single page until I found yeah, you get the picture. Until I found the page with all the statistics, because as a man, I deal with numbers and facts and things. So if I looking for information, I want to get it from the actual source. So you could go and check that if you want to read 137 pages. So right, Aaron Scott. It means involving 2 groups or countries. But if exams are in July, then it's multiple choice you're doing, most likely. So you think it remain in paper 1? I honestly don't know. More than likely gonna be paper 1 because they are totally adamant in the way that they're talking about paper 1 and SPA. There's no consideration for paper 2s at all. And the one thing that he said about paper 2s in the video makes no sense. Set a different similar exam for Jamaica and let the other countries move forward. Now you can't do that. If you're doing an exam, you're doing an exam, because then Jamaica 1 will be different to Trinidad 1. If Jamaica going on say no, that means they will have to push towards January, because they can't have the May, June, July exam marks given out to one set of people and then a September mark given out to another people. That's not possible. So Jamaica, if you're gonna get Jamaica separate test, it's best to send them to January to do it. So can they allow us to choose when we want to do it? One exam now and another maybe in September or January? No, then you'll get your results at a different time. You can't split up all the exams. You had to get your results from the same exam. Same here, I haven't rejected my preparation for paper 2 yet. What bilateral even mean? Bilateral means 2 people talking side by side. Bilateral. So you're having a conversation along the same lines, but you're on different lanes. So that's bilateral. What the point of a bilateral discussion is to get everybody in the same lane. But when it's bilateral, I want to go this way, I want to go on this lane. So we have to talk so that we could merge. Jamaica is not in any position to do CXC exams in July. That I know for sure, because their COVID-19 is not exactly easy. Did they give out the waiting for the exam and SPA? No, they did not. What is you talking about? So just came on. You're really gonna have to watch over this video. I can't talk about I can't recap all that. If we go in September, you think we'll get paper 2? Based on how CXC talking, I just feel that they just don't want to do paper 2s for some reason. And if they put it in September, there'll be no reason not to have the paper 2s, but whatever. I don't know. Will it be like in 2008, like how there were separate exams for TT and the rest of the region? The 2008 drama, nah, that was a kind of cover up that they just had to get it done quick. But this all out in the open, Rainier Ramdas, this too big in the open for them to kind of do separate tests. They will get real burn out for that. What about the weighting of the SBAs? And people want to know. They said nothing about the weighting in the interview. So I heard that people want to remain the same as the previous years on the CXC website under frequently asked questions. Yes, the paper one is going to be the same way that it's been for the past few years. So if you've been getting repeat questions for however long, you could basically expect repeat questions unless they decided last year when they were setting the exams that they're going to not do any repeat questions anymore and come with totally new questions that they just decided in 2019. That's the only way you're gonna get fresh questions. But I just find that real unbelievable. I can't think that gonna happen. So if it results that Jamaica is not doing exams, no countries will do exams. We'll have to figure out what the bilateral discussions going to be. I think if half your revenue or half your examining amount of people drop, if you drop by half, then you're gonna have to make some serious discussions. But you know, I now reach what's going on. You had to watch over that. Rachel Bacchus, is it important? Yes, it's important for you to know because plenty of people have questions about CXC, and I just sat down for a whole hour talking about this so that people will have their questions answered. So how much percentage SBA is SBA without at this point? At this point, every SBA has a different weighting depending on the subject that you do. So like SBA, for like CXC, the SBA is 25%, for maths is 20%, some papers the SBA is 30%, different subjects have it for different weighting. So Jamaica, does that mean I will not be doing exams in July? That's what it seems like. Because Jamaica just basically said because of health issues and COVID-19 issues that they just can't do it. So I don't know. You want to know what's going on with Jamaica? I don't know what's going on with Jamaica other than the article that they have about Jamaica. Where's the Jamaican article in the Jamaica Gleaner? I have it here somewhere. Student Hub, news and updates. Let's see if I can find the article in the Jamaica Gleaner for you that tell you about what Jamaica has said. I don't know if you saw it. Alright, I'll find it here. Jamaica Gleaner. Alright, so I'm showing you all. Damn it. Alright, so I'm going to show you all the article from the Jamaica Gleaner here. That says the government is against July exams. The Jamaican government has parted company with its Caribbean counterparts on the July date to set the Caribbean exam. Blah, blah, blah. The real reason is their challenges much greater and we don't feel we can make a commitment to hold these exams in July under these circumstances. So this article would have been posted on May the 13th. That would have been yesterday morning. So that's Jamaica's point of view, based on health issues, I think. So say if the other territories do an exam in July and Jamaica cannot do it, then Jamaica alone would need it in January. I would think so. That's all I could think of. I can't think of anything else. But if schools are out, how will students prepare properly for exams? Yeah, that's a question that they asked in the interview. There will be psychological issues that they had to deal with. I rather consult with my lessons teacher first before taking such exams. Well, yeah, that might make sense. Right, so that's it for questions. Thank you very much for your time. I have a class to go and do now. Remember, this is makeITsimpleTT, IT, ComSci, anything that I want with respect to IT. You can check me here. If you need classes and all that stuff, we're here for you. And I'll go live every Sunday night. Yeah. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. Bye-bye. And thanks for coming. Yeah.